Here's some circumcision jokes in honor of Dr. Susan Blank, head of the task force on circumcision at the American Academy of Pediatrics. What did one foreskin say to the other in the hospital nursery? "Hope I'm not Jewish." To which the other foreskin replies, "That's old school. With modern medicine, we're all at risk." A new mother is informed that her newborn baby boy must have surgery. "Why would my newborn baby boy need surgery? Isn't that risky, especially in a newborn?" "This is serious," was the reply. "He has a penis." I just want to give an update on our latest protest. I joined Anthony Lasquadro and his group Intactivism.org, and we protested Dr. Susan Blank, who headed the task force on circumcision, with the organization, the AAP, American Academy of Pediatrics. Let me quickly just read this press release. Intaction targets chairperson of the American Academy of Pediatrics Circumcision Task Force. On November 16, 2013, 18 members braved the cold rain of an early November morning to protest outside the Queens, New York City home of Susan Blank, MD, chairperson of the American Academy of Pediatrics Task Force on Circumcision. The Intaction protesters demanded the American Academy of Pediatrics Task Force retract its recently released report that promotes infant circumcision. 37 physicians from prestigious medical societies in 17 European countries also authored a strong rebuke of the AAP 2012 circumcision policy statement. The European doctors say the AAP is culturally biased and unethical. Members of Intaction want to make sure the AAP task force hears that message. No man ever consented to be circumcised as an infant, yet they have to live with its consequences all their lives. Tell us about it, said Intaction director Anthony Lasquadro. The AAP has flip-flopped with its advice about circumcision 7 times over the last 30 years. Now the AAP convened yet another task force with an agenda to change policy based on shaky newfound evidence. Medical experts worldwide, backed by substantial medical research, question the benefits of circumcision. What are they? Side note. Especially when compared to the harm many males have experienced. We are demanding answers from Dr. Blank on behalf of all the men and babies who have experienced harm at the hands of American medical professionals. The Intaction protest was also covered in the Queens Times-Ledger newspaper. Intaction stands for taking action. Like our disruptive protest of the Clinton Foundation event, where we told Bill Clinton to stop exploiting Africans with circumcision, we will do what needs to be done to focus attention on our issues. Sincerely, Anthony Lasquadro. Excellent. Yes, there was an article in the Times-Ledger. Very well covered. They very well covered the protest. There's some pictures there. You can find that online. The Times-Ledger. Just a few comments on the website of the Times-Ledger. Get with the times. There's no excuse for sexually mutilating children. Maybe Susan Blank has some information we don't know. Maybe there is a reason. It's got to be a big damn reason to sexually mutilate children against their consent. But we'll find out what Susan Blank and the AAP, their secret reason for mutilating children and killing a lot of them in the process. At least 100 per year in this country alone. But there's no records really that account for all this misery and death. Gee, I wonder why. We shouldn't have to keep reading about these stories like the Memphis boy last month who lost his whole penis. What sick urge of yours makes you think it's okay to cough up a little child's sex organs? Don't know. I'm 100% against the genital cutting of minors. Here's another article from a blog of Jennifer Margulis.net. It says 1 in 500 newborn boys experience acute complications from circumcision. Part of this blog here is, what did they do to you? A Scandinavian woman asked an American man while they were making love. She was upset that part of his penis had been amputated. Taking off the foreskin deprives the penis of both length and width. The foreskin protects the glands of the penis, which is the head of the penis, keeping it moist and sensitive. A circumcised penis has a head that has hardened. Keratinized is the medical word for this. Oh, so medicine's aware of this. What are you doing about it? Not much. She couldn't believe it when her American lover told her that circumcision was considered normal in the United States. I'm against it, a Jewish doctor who performs circumcision almost daily confided in me off the record. I think it is totally unnecessary, but I don't think it's dangerous or harmful. So it is no wonder that Maggie Rode, an African-American mom from Memphis, Tennessee, thought she was bringing her 3-month-old son in for a safe operation in August. The circumcision at Christ Community Health Center, the doctors told her, would only take 20 minutes. Instead, it lasted 3 hours. Not only did the doctors botch the circumcision, they handed Rode her son, who was screaming in pain, without telling her that anything had gone wrong. After I went home, I discovered that my son's penis was not there. I immediately froze like, oh my God. Rode, who was speaking publicly about what happened to baby Ashton, told my Fox Memphis. Ashton went to the doctor with healthy genitalia. Now he has a partial penis. He urinates through a hole in his penis and screams in agony, his mom said. Complications from circumcision, though rarely this extreme, are more common than parents realize. 1 in 500 boys will experience acute complications from circumcision, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, and is probably a conservative estimate. 1 in 500. How many is too many? When do we say enough is enough? When do we decide as a culture that taking a sharp knife to a boy's genitals within the first few days of his life without his consent and for no good medical reason is unacceptable? Norway is planning to introduce legislation to outlaw non-medical circumcision. Zimbabwe is reporting that the mass circumcision campaigns supposedly to curb HIV transmission. 3 scientifically faulty studies have shown that circumcisions reducing the spread of HIV are actually spreading the disease because circumcised men feel they've been vaccinated. And that's what they've been told. And now refuse to wear condoms. An infant in Sacramento, California, Braden Tyler Fraser, died after complications from a circumcision in March 2013. The year 2013 in America, a boy died from medically unnecessary surgery. Actually, elective surgery. Cosmetic surgery, if you will. But he did not consent, that poor baby boy. Not only did he get his foreskin and penis mutilated, but he lost his life. The year before, another infant died after contracting herpes from a rabbi who sucked on his penis as part of a religious rite. America. As a matter of fact, I think that was in Brooklyn, New York. My friend's son's penis has adhesions due to a botched circumcision. They irritate him and cause ongoing bleeding. 5 years old, he cries when he gets an erection. I found out a close family member suffered a circumcision complicated that has embarrassed him his entire life. Complications of circumcision do represent a significant percentage of cases seen by pediatric urologists, reports this article in the Scientific World Journal. Often they require surgical correction that results in a scientific cost to the healthcare system, or benefit to the healthcare system, mainly doctors and organizations, possibly. Well, here. There are at least 18 complications from circumcision, according to Stanford Medical School. These include bleeding, infection, adhesions and skin bridges, medial stenosis, a narrowing of the urethral opening that can make it difficult for a boy to urinate, amputation of the head of the penis, death. Here's a response to this blog. Craig Adams. I don't know if this is the Craig that I met at the protest, but this Craig, you can see, speaks very forcefully and emotionally on the protest video that I shot. His name's Craig. He makes one of the speeches. When I spoke to him privately, he was telling me about his personal problems with his circumcision. For years and years and years he had these, and he never really figured out what it came from. When he got involved in the movement, he figured out it was my circumcision. This is what's hurting, torturing me all these years. Here's a comment by Craig Adams. I was neonatally circumcised in New Jersey hospital by the doctor who delivered me as routine. My parents were provided with no information. It completely injured me. Traumatic corrective myotomy surgery at age 5 for meatal stenosis and other complications due to loss of my protective foreskin. I feel violated and mutilated, which you were. I am a circumcised father of an intact son. I was horrified that the New Jersey hospital solicited circumcision in 2013. I am fully aware that physicians in every other country in this world discourage parents from circumcising their infants because it is painful, traumatic, invasive, and injurious. Basically, it removes something that should not be removed. The foreskin protects the glands throughout life and provides pleasure to males and their future partners. I am fully aware that this is unlawful and unethical for physicians to operate on healthy children. Physicians who circumcise healthy children should lose their licenses to practice medicine, serve a lengthy prison sentence, and be registered as sex offenders. I enjoy that sentiment big time. I recently read some other stuff that's saying that actually, if you really dig deep, you will probably discover that this is illegal. Probably under the UN Charter about abuse of children. Probably under this the United States Constitution, I would say, also. Also under the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. What on earth are you doing when you circumcise a boy? That's harm. You're not doing any good. You're killing many boys, actually, and torturing them. Here's some updates by the wonderful Steven Swoboda. His group is ARC, Attorneys for the Rights of the Child. Stephen has been attending conferences, speaking at conferences, debating pro-circumcision doctors and organizations. He regularly appears on the MariaSanchezShow.com. You could download podcasts of his programs. He's dynamite. Let me just read a short update that I got from him. He says, ever since my last appearance on the Maria Sanchez Show, we are seeing a consensus continuing to emerge in Europe among medical associations, legislators, courts, and similar bodies that circumcision violates the rights of the child and should be illegal. Recent declarations have been issued by Sweden's Ombudsman for Children and representatives of 4 leading Swedish physicians' organizations, by the Children's Ombudsman from the 5 Nordic countries, by the Council of Europe, and even by the United Nations. In late September, while I was on the plane home from the UK, another German court held that a German-born woman of Kenyan descent could not authorize doctors to circumcise a 6-year-old child of whom she had custody because she had not taken into account the psychological harm, damage it could cause him. Sorry, his website is arclaw.org, arclaw.org. Please help Matt over at that website. I have some also recent news. Let me read this to you. This is from the timesofisrael.com. Rabbinical court rejects appeal by Netanya resident who won't have her son undergo what she calls mutilation. November 26, 2013. The rabbinical court in Jerusalem rejected an appeal Monday by a Netanya woman fined $140 per day for refusing to circumcise her son, as is required by Jewish law. Halacha? The penalty was initially levied by a rabbinical court in Netanya earlier this year at the request of the woman's estranged husband, who has demanded that the circumcision take place. The two are reportedly undergoing divorce proceedings, and the court stated that it believes her refusal was part of some ploy to save her marriage. The woman's lawyers claimed that the rabbinical court had no authority to order the woman to circumcise her son, who is now a year old. She says, I've been exposed to a lot of material regarding circumcision, and I've decided not to circumcise my son, the woman, who has not been identified, told Channel 2 News Monday evening. I have no right to cut his organ and mutilate him, and the court has no right to force me to do so. She went on, vowing that she would not pay the fine, which has so far reached $2,500 NIS. I don't have the means, I'm not working, she said. The woman intends to take the case to the Supreme Court, according to the report. The court also addressed the current anti-circumcision sentiments around the world, specifically in Europe, where some countries have pushed forth a ban on the Jewish and Muslim practice. Yeah, and otherwise, because I'm neither, and expressed concerns about the precedent this incident could set. You mean caring for babies? Should an Israeli Jewish woman be allowed to forego the custom? Yeah, there were a lot of customs that we used to practice. Bloodletting, Salem witch dunkings and burning witches, slavery. We used to outlaw contraceptives. But let's just look at it plainly and commonsensically. All right? Susan Blank, a doctor's doctor, really. She's part of a group, an organization of the best doctors, the best baby doctors, probably in the world. These doctors concentrate and specialize in the care of babies. So these so-called doctors who are specialized in the care of baby boys and girls, what do they espouse as something that's helpful to babies, baby boys, within days or even hours of birth? Hopefully the baby's bonded to the mother and father. Hopefully the mother didn't smoke cigarettes or drink excessive alcohol during the pregnancy, because we really do want to help the baby in as many ways as possible. We don't want any harm to come to this baby at all, correct? But what do they then do? Within hours or days of a beautiful birth of a boy, they take him off and they strap him down to some kind of a circumcision tie-down device. Okay, spread eagle. They may or may not give anesthetic. I'm certainly sure that the anesthetic could be risky right off the bat, so I'm sure they don't give much, if any at all. So they got this baby strapped down, no parents around, for the dirty deed to be done. What is that dirty deed? Would that be a child molester playing with the boy's penis, sucking on it? No, that's not what the dirty deed is. That would be dirty. That would be illegal. That person would go to jail. But you know what the dirty deed is? Some so-called doctor who pledges first do no harm will come in and take some sort of medieval device that will pinch, squeeze, mutilate, puncture, bleed, mutilate, I said that already, amputate the most sensitive part of a baby's body within hours of its birth. This foreskin is attached to the penis because it's not meant to be retracted yet. That happens at age 5 or later, naturally to the baby. But in this case, nature has not taken its course. We have a whacked out system where somebody thinks it's okay to come and tear off the foreskin forcibly before it's ready to even be to move or be retracted. Not only is this foreskin being retracted, it's being removed with all sorts of varying complications. And what is this? This gotta be an overwhelming reason to submit the baby to risk of this type, risk of death, certainly mutilation and complications. It's a matter of course that, I know for myself, any boy who's had circumcision, look at your penis, there's scarring there, scarring. Your penis will probably hang to one side or the other. If you're lucky, you don't have serious complications, but you do have you have lost part of your genitals. You'll never know what that felt like. But somebody somewhere made this decision for you, and I could see in a third world country where people don't know any better, because that's what happens to females with female genital mutilation, and we all are against that. That's the AAP is also against that. But why does it push this circumcision of men and boys? It does not jibe. You're embarrassing yourself, Susan Blank and the AAP. So dead against mutilating girls, baby girls, but mutilating boys? What's the reason again? To keep it clean, was it? There are many thousands, probably millions, it would be safe to say millions in this world, maybe even billions, because much of the world does not circumcise newborn boys as a routine measure. But this country is still doing it. The AAP and Susan Blank and her cohorts do not have an overwhelming reason for routine circumcision. If there is one, I'd like to hear it, and it better be good, because boys every single day are getting mutilated, disfigured, tortured, and die because of this unnecessary surgery that is unethical, because this boy is not having a choice in the matter. If you think it's so wonderful, you let that boy choose for himself when he's able to make that choice. Okay? If the AAP had any scruples at all, they would urge their doctors, their members, and the public to get informed that this is unnecessary surgery, it's dangerous, and it should not be promoted routinely. I think it's a money grab. I think insurance companies are pressuring doctors and doctors' groups to keep this circumcision, this surgery going, to keep the money flowing. I urge all insurance companies to deny payment of this unnecessary and damaging surgery, because God knows needed surgeries and helpful surgeries are going by the wayside because there's not enough money. So stop wasting money on this ridiculous practice. One day, Susan Blank, society will sober up from its drunken binge of genital mutilation. But you, my dear, will never be able to wash the blood from your hands. With apologies to Churchill.